Fergus Hodgson with the PanAmerican Post in Bogota, Colombia, and I'm speaking with Ilya Brotzky of Brazil Korea Blueprint. He is in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and he's been reporting on recent events in Brazil which are historic. And I want to examine these further with him because in regular media broadcasts, we're just seeing brief clips without a lot of context and with little understanding as to where this is going and where it has come from. So I'll get Ilya. So I'll just say thank you for joining us on short notice and for the work that you've done so far.
No, it's my pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity. It definitely is a unique and historic time to be in Brazil. There's something happening here that's very, very powerful. I've never seen this before. I've never felt anything like this before. So just to give you guys a little bit of context on what's happening, last Thursday there was there was a start of protests against the 20-cent increase in bus fare by a group called the Movimento Passo Livre,
Right.
And that was a symbol for the government increasing the bus fare more than the price of inflation over the years, and they were upset about this. And that actually was a trigger for many other issues that have been brought up, such as the massive spending on the World Cup and the Olympics, the incredibly high salaries of government, the gay cure that the government's trying to pass. There's a variety of issues that are just some are just ridiculous. It sounds like you're making them up.
Right.
The Brazilian government is the most expensive government in the world. I've been hearing. I don't know the exact numbers, but there's been reports of government corruption, and I think that's the root of all of the issue. And so it's been just crazy
Right.
seeing everything happen.
Before we continue on that point of this, the level of government corruption, just clarify for people. You've been in Brazil about 3 years, and you are an expat from Canada. Just clarify your position in this situation.
Right. Yeah. Sure, yeah. So I graduated from Cornell University in Applied Economics and Management. I studied there until 2010 when I got a job at Vale, which is the largest mining company in Brazil, to work as a management trainee in Brazil, and then went back to Canada. So I was here for 8 months from August 2010 to April 2011. And then I've been back since then working at 3 startups and now a big data company. So I was doing business development for a market research company in the favelas and 2 education startups. So I've been kind of looking at the larger companies, the smaller companies, and really getting a feel for the Brazil economy, the Brazilian culture, and just general way of life here. So I've been here for not the longest time, but I definitely feel like I know my way around the economy.
Sure. And in your video from last night, you made the claim, which may have been a little bit impromptu, but that Brazil is the most corrupt nation on the planet. Do you want to give people a sense for the level of corruption and how you made such an assessment?
Well, I think that was just me being a little bit overdramatic, to be honest.
Sure.
I think that there's a lot of that happening here. A lot of people saying things that may be out of proportion, as tends to happen. I was actually, when I made the video, and really in the heat of the moment, my friend had just told me that she was attacked by tear gas, and I was really upset, so I wasn't thinking clearly. But I do feel like the sentiment of the Brazil government being incredibly corrupt. I'm not sure what the largest corrupt government is. I wish we could measure that. I think that would be a good first step, right? But I definitely saw reports saying that the price of 1 minute of a Brazilian senator or deputy minister in the government is something like $5,000. So just ridiculous prices. And I want to go back and find the sources, but it really is just out of control. It really is out of control.
And lots of as you mentioned, there is a lot of hyperbole coming out, and I have a hard time assessing which is accurate and which is not from here in Colombia. And there was one key question, I guess. Has there been actual live fire, any weapons actually fired upon protesters other than, say, tear gas?
Rubber bullets. I think that they were opening fire last night in Rio, but I'm not sure. I don't think it was actual bullets. I'm not sure. I know that one person did get killed yesterday in Sao Paulo. Something about a car barricade. I only read it quickly, which is incredibly sad to hear. There other than that, I'm not sure if there's actually
Sure.
live bullets.
Well, I've just posted a video from last night in Rio de Janeiro,
Mm,
and that
yeah.
one showed a little bit more of the story actually.
Mm,
It noted that actually there was some vandalism going on in a variety of places. There were smashed windows.
yeah, there was.
So there was some provocation for police or more aggressive intervention.
Hmm.
And then the person with the video described it as like a war zone with people in military uniforms and not tanks necessarily, but very heavily armored vehicles. And that's
Hmm.
where you could see them firing. And he described them as some sort of smoke bombs or something like that. So
Yeah.
different forms of weapons, but nothing necessarily intended to be lethal.
No, I don't think it's gotten to that point yet. No.
Okay. But what I hear that actually this is only growing right now. Is there any sign of it calming down?
I don't think there's sign of it coming down in terms of engagement point of view, but I think there is signs of it coming down in terms of a violence point of view. I know there's many people reacting on social media last night, and there are many images of people saying, no violence and peace, and I think the main, 95% or very, very, very high percentage of Brazilians want this to be a peaceful protest, and I think there's a small loud minority that's breaking windows of buses and trying to break into buildings, and that's like almost to be expected. I think there was 100 cities with protests and millions of people in the streets, so I think that the engagement is not going to stop. The amount of people care is not going to go down, but the violence hopefully will.
Sure. And I think there's a very important component to this, which I want to know. Are there any intellectuals, or you could say policy thinkers, involved with this who give you could say the movement or whatever we want to call it right now some credibility, some intellectual credibility, and giving some options, alternatives, rather than just complaining? Are there any rigorous alternatives being put forward?
Honestly, nothing concrete other than the 5 causes that Anonymous and groups like that have been pledging, of 5 things that they want to see happen, or
Yes.
not happen.
What are those five?
Um,
What are those 5 items?
Let me pull them up just so I know them. I know that one of them is to stop a law called PEC 37,
Yes.
which is a law that is going to be passed, which will be a congressional amendment. One sec, sorry, just
Right.
congressional amendment that would allow the government to not be investigated for corruption. So it would take away power from a group that is actually overseeing the government, and it would make it so no one can investigate any government corruption.
Sure, that seems like there are many issues like those which just seem like no-brainers. So I don't know if anyone would be opposed to that except for the people who don't want to be investigated. So,
Exactly. But the whole thing with the government that they've been doing is they haven't they've been kind of taking advantage of the apathy of the people, and it seems like now it's a lot less than apathetic. They're a lot more engaged. So
sure.
another one is no to the gay cure that the Brazilian government is trying to pass.
What is the gay cure?
There's this is the minister of the public health, Human Rights Commission in Brazil, is an evangelical priest,
Okay.
and he believes that gayness being gay or is an issue, is an illness,
Right.
and he wants to pass a law that will make it so gay people can go to hospitals and get treated by psychologists for being gay. I swear, I'm not making this up.
I know. Okay. It seems bizarre. That's why Brazil is a
And
country to its own. Yeah.
he actually came up with an article today saying that he wants to take the evangelicals to the presidency of this country. So he's not stopping. He's looking forward in
Wow.
this.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
not a law yet, but he's submitted it, and it's passed the first step.
And have you been out in the midst of these protests, or have you considered that too dangerous?
I actually went on Monday for just a walk with some friends. It really was a peaceful day on Monday here in Sao Paulo. Very just good atmosphere. There was a lot of chants. One of my favorite was "What a coincidence! No police, no violence,"
Okay. Yeah.
which rhymes in Portuguese.
Sure.
But there was just a lot of kind of goodwill and spirit. It was almost like kind of a carnival feel, carnival with a cause, my friends were calling it. which is nice. There's some guys selling beer on the streets,
Right.
entrepreneurs everywhere. But I did stay in the last 3 days just because I had other meetings, and I felt like, once for me was enough to get the feeling. And I'm probably going to go a couple more times in the future, but it's not something that I'm making a priority because for me, I'm actually enjoying staying behind the scenes and reporting what I see on social media.
Okay. And has there been a backlash? I'll say that I did observe someone stuck in traffic behind a protest, for example, and he just drove right through the people. I'm not sure whether you saw that same video,
I didn't know.
but I imagine there are other people who share that similar sentiment. Is there a backlash, you could say, from people who say, it's not so bad, you're getting in our way, you're just causing trouble?
Some people I've seen a couple people say that something like, "Oh, we're gonna ruin the economy if we keep doing this. People aren't going to be working." So, but now actually, I saw a picture which was actually really good. In Brazil, and I think many developing countries, when you're in traffic at a red light, a lot of street kids come up and put candies on your car,
Sure.
the rear view mirrors, side view mirrors. And then if you want, you buy them. If not, they come back and collect them. And sometimes they have a message. And one of the messages was, "You've always been stuck in traffic, but now it's for a good cause." It's because Rio and Sao Paulo and Brazil's traffic is just ridiculous. So because logistics and infrastructure haven't been invested in for many years, or underinvested, I should say. And so there is a small backlash, but it's nothing compared to the general overall sentiment.
If I can bring you back to what I might call the actual policy challenges or proposals,
Mm.
is there an acknowledgement that there's something deeper wrong, that this corruption is a symptom of a deeper problem in the society or in the culture of Brazil? That it just
Yeah,
didn't, it didn't happen by accident.
everyone always cites the history of Brazil. Brazil was the last country to abolish slavery in 1888. It was started as a Portuguese colony with, just a they came here to rob or to steal the wood. That's where the country's name comes from. It was the Brazil wood.
Okay.
And they always say that, this is the way it's been in Brazil. It's the way it always will be. But I think that's kind of the common answer. What I really think it is that there's just been through all that and all that history and all these kind of things being the way they are, people had, not anymore, people had felt like they didn't have any control or any power and just let things slide. And the Brazil has been improving in the last 5-10 years. We think 30 million people have come out of poverty, and there's been a lot of good things that have happened in the last little while. But now it's kind of slowly the tide started turning, and then it's like it really got to a boiling point with this 20-cent hike, and I think that people are starting to see that, what, I'm no longer going to use that excuse of saying it's just history and this is the way it's always been. I think people are now seeing that now is the time to make a change with the World Cup and Olympics and global pressure on the country. That's why I think that this is such an amazing movement, because it's not like any other country in the world. It's the fifth largest population in the world. It's a global power. It's something that everybody here feels like wants. There's popular soccer players going on TV supporting the protesters. There's TV stars coming out on TV and supporting the protesters. I think it's something that everybody in this country has been waiting for in one way or another, and it's just happening, which is amazing.
Right. And one of the key ingredients also has been the rise of social media. I'll say that one
Exactly.
website I use, Reddit, is just full of new material from Brazil in English
Yeah.
and in Portuguese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have there been efforts to crack down or censor what is going on in terms
There
of
was an
communication?
article I saw saying that the judge in Florianopolis, which is a city in the south of Brazil, wanted to take Facebook off air. But I think, Facebook Brazil is the second largest country on Facebook. There's no way that they're going to take Facebook off the air in Brazil. Facebook itself wouldn't allow it. That'd be a
Sure,
large chunk of
sure.
advertising revenue going down. So I think there's kind of been whispers by the government thinking that they might be able to do that. I saw that Anonymous Brazil's website got taken down today, which was a little bit maybe of a government play. I'm not sure. But social media in Brazil is kind of like the national obsession. Facebook and all that. People here really like it, and Brazilians are social creatures just in general, so it makes a lot of sense
Sure.
why they would like it to do it online. And yeah, my newsfeed is just completely full of this. There's nothing else people are talking about.
Right, excellent. Well, Ilya, I'm gonna end it there. I really appreciate your time.
Actually,
Yes.
one quick question I was wondering, nothing else they were talking about actually last night. It was actually really interesting for me. As someone who has friends both in North America and South America, I was kind of seeing two different sides.
Hmm.
First, I was seeing, the Brazil protests and everything like that, and then I was seeing on the other side the Miami Heat NBA champions.
Sorry.
So
Right.
it was just really funny for me, the contrast of like, well, we're having a cultural revolution in here. Oh, and then some men who like to play with basketballs and get paid millions of dollars to run around the court, put more baskets in the hoop than the other person did. And nothing against basketball as a sport; it's a lot of fun to play. But I just think that people idealizing, sports figures is a little less important than, human rights.
I think it is. It is indicative of complacency of legacy media outlets, actually. So I think I noticed that observation. That's just the way it is at this point in time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, Ilya, like I said, I really appreciate your time,
No,
and
my
I
pleasure.
look forward to more updates from you. Okay.
Yeah, no, there's definitely the beginning of lots of things to come. So I'd be happy to sit down and chat. And if anyone has any questions, they can reach me at ilyabrotsky@gmail.com, add me on Facebook, and check out Brazil Career Blueprint as well.
And it's just Korea, Brazil.
BrazilCareerBlueprint.com. That's
.com.
right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll finish it there. Thanks so much.